You found yourself on another edition of Let 'Em Know Kings United, and on today's episode, the Cleveland Cavaliers played the most complete offensive game of the season by showing the Orlando Magic they are not ready for the big time just yet. Meanwhile, in Chicago, for the first time since March of last year, the Bulls have won 3 straight games, but it was an ugly performance against the Charlotte Hornets, especially in the first half, but it was a win nonetheless. The Cavs and the Bulls both got wins, and I'm going to talk about them right here on Let 'Em Know Kings United. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time for the post-game reaction podcast of the Cleveland Cavaliers, Sacramento Kings, and the Chicago Bulls. This is Let 'Em Know Kings United. Let 'em know, nation, you already know what time it is. Welcome to another edition of Let 'em Know Kings United, your Cleveland Cavaliers, Sacramento Kings, and Chicago Bulls postgame reaction podcast. And I am your host, Skylar Weisberg. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's show. And you can find Let 'em Know Kings United, which is 100% completely free and available on Amazon Music, Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Radio Public, Pandora, and wherever else you want to listen to this show. Give the show a follow on the platforms if you can, please. Turn on your notifications so you know about the next episode. Please rate, spread the word out to your friends, and give Let 'Em Know Kings United a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. It is a great way to support the podcast, and I appreciate every single one of you for tuning in. The Cleveland Cavaliers and the Chicago Bulls both took care of business against the Orlando Magic and the Charlotte Hornets, respectively. Although, I will say that the Orlando Magic were the better of the two teams that were playing the Cavs and the Bulls, respectively, because the Orlando Magic had a winning record coming into this game, and they had one of the best defenses in the NBA. And you know, what's surprising about the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Orlando Magic matchup is this. Coming into this game, I thought this was going to be a really good litmus test for the Cleveland Cavaliers and also a good test for the Orlando Magic. I think both teams needed this game to see where they're at. What's the pecking order between both of these teams, if you will. And clearly, the Cleveland Cavaliers showed the Orlando Magic they're not ready for the big time yet, as the Cleveland Cavaliers played the most complete offensive performance of the season. They looked like the best Cavaliers team that I have seen in weeks by a final score of 121-111, and I don't know what happened that caused the Cleveland Cavaliers to have their best performance offensively of the season. Maybe the days off between the in-season tournament and some practice time might help. Maybe some guys needed the time to get healthy. And although the Cavaliers were 8-3 in their last 11 games coming in, the Cavs have played inconsistently and came in just 4-8 against teams with winning records. They were booed out of the building last week when they blew a late lead to the Portland Trailblazers. The Cavaliers need a solid bounce-back game with a tough schedule ahead at the Miami Heat tonight. By the way, by the time this episode goes live, it will be on Feel Good Friday, and 2 games against Boston next week. And let me tell you something, the Cavaliers not only got a bounce-back game, but they can feel really confident going into Miami. Max Strus said about this win for the Cleveland Cavaliers, it was a step in the right direction for us. And we kind of grew up a little, figured it out as a team. And Darius Garland, he was asked about his mistake-free night. He pretended he didn't hear the reporter point out his stats. And one of the weaknesses for DG is he's good as a player, but he turns the ball over almost consistently. He needs to do a better job of taking care of the basketball. But DG said, "What you say? Huh? What you say about my stats? Did you mean to talk about me about my stats? What you saying? What you saying?" And then he said, "I was throwing to the guys with black jerseys. I was just trying to find open guys, just trying to make the right read and make it easy for my teammates, and they made shots." And that is exactly what happened. And the Magic's visits to Cleveland was one of the 2 games added for the teams that didn't advance beyond the group stage of the NBA in-season tournament. And for Cleveland, I think they did an amazing job against the Orlando Magic. Probably the best game that I've seen Cleveland play all year. Their help defense was absolutely outstanding. I love the fact that they were attacking the paint. They were attacking guys like Jalen Suggs, who left this game due to an ankle injury. Jamal Mosley said he's gonna undergo further testing on that ankle. They did a really great job of forcing the Orlando Magic to make tough shots. And although Paolo Banchero had his best game as a professional with 42 points, and I'm going to talk about that in just a second, I think the Cavaliers did an amazing job not only on responding to the Orlando Magic on the offensive side of the ball, thanks to Donovan Mitchell, Max Strus, Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, just to name a few. But I think defensively, with the rotations and their help defense and the way they pull the clamps off Orlando, they made a really big they did a really good job of making that the point of emphasis, and the Cavaliers were going back to playing just Cleveland Cavalier basketball. That is dominating the paint and being really physical on defense, and that is exactly what the Cleveland Cavaliers did, and I think that deserves a lot of credit from J.B. Bickerstaff. One of the most complete games that I've seen the Cleveland Cavaliers play all year, but there was one shining bright spot for the Orlando Magic, and honestly, he was the only person in an Orlando Magic uniform that showed up to Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse the other night, and that was Paolo Banchero. He had his best game as a professional, scoring a career-high 42 points, while Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell got 35 and 26 respectively. Paolo Banchero was the MVP of the night, although he was on the losing team. The top pick in the 2022 draft, Banchero went 16 to 26 from the field. The 21-year-old became the second youngest player in Orlando history to score 40 points, surpassed by only Shaquille O'Neal, who was 20 years old when he got 40 points. That's elite company right there, Paolo Banchero. I will say, putting yourself in elite company with Shaq Diesel, you made a name for yourself, Paolo Banchero. Kudos to you for that. Jamal, he said about this game, and I quote, "I felt good coming in, but it's crazy to have 42 points," whose previous best game was 33 last year against the Sacramento Kings. It's an honor being a part of a very storied organization with a lot of great players like the Orlando Magic. A game like this gives you some confidence that you can use to become an even better player. It was another major step in the right direction for Paolo, who was quickly developing into one of the league's bright young stars. You better look out, because the league nowadays has a ton of talent in today's NBA. You got Paolo Banchero, who is an absolute superstar. Anthony Edwards, who is an absolute dog. SGA, who is an absolute dog. You can argue LeBron James, year 21. He has a ton of talent still in him. Austin, I'm him. AR-15 Reeves. He has a ton of talent for the Los Angeles Lakers. You also got Cole Anthony from the Orlando Magic. A ton of talent there. Chet Holmgren from the OKC Thunder, an absolute stud. Victor Wembanyama, an absolute stud. Look, the NBA has a ton of talent, and I cannot forget the point guard, Tyrese Halliburton in Indiana, one of the sleeper teams in the Eastern Conference this point of the season. Look, the NBA has a ton of talent this year, and Paolo Banchero is just one of them, and I love the humility I love the humility that he said it's an honor to be part of an organization like the Orlando Magic with great story players. That kind of humility will help you go places, Paolo Banchero. Keep it up. Keep it up. I love that. Jamal Mosley was loving Paolo's performance. He was the only person, like I said, in an Orlando Magic uniform that showed up. I loved Paolo's aggression, his level of confidence, his teammates trusting him. He's willing to do whatever it takes to get the win. I really wish, though, the rest of the Orlando Magic could match Paolo's energy, but unfortunately they did not, and the Cleveland Cavaliers just dominated all night long. They shot 53% for the field. Cleveland did 48% for the Orlando Magic, but if you would have told me that this Orlando Magic team would shoot 8% from the field against the Cleveland Cavalier defense, I would have told you that you are the craziest person alive, but that happened! 8% from 3. 2 of 23 by the Orlando Magic. Like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I understand the Orlando Magic have a ton of talent, and I get it, but my God, you shoot 8% for the field against a Cavalier team that dominated you like dogs all night? That's just unacceptable. I know Jamal Mosley's a good-ass head coach. He recently won the Eastern Conference Coach of the Month for Orlando, so I get it. But you got to do a lot better than shooting 8% from three-point range against good teams like Cleveland. I'm sorry, but Orlando, you are not ready for the big time. I know you're young. I know you have a ton of talent. You're going to go places in the NBA in the next few years. I promise you that. But right now, the Cleveland Cavaliers just showed y'all there's levels to this, and you are not ready. Even though the Cleveland Cavaliers did not do a good job of taking care of the ball with 17 turnovers, they made up for it with their defense and their aggressiveness getting to the foul line. 15 to 20, 75% for the Cleveland Cavaliers, 73% for the Orlando Magic. They shot 27 of 37 the rebounds, 45-36 in favor of Cleveland, including 10 of those on the offensive end. The fast break points were 10-5 in favor of Orlando. The steals were 10-5 in favor of Orlando. The blocks were 6-2 in favor of Orlando. The points in the paint, 68-58 in favor of Orlando. But overall, it was just about the Cleveland Cavaliers and the flow that they had on the offensive end. I'm only going to mention Paolo Banchero because he was the only person from the Orlando Magic that deserves to be mentioned. 42 points, 6 rebounds, an assist, and he had 2 big blocks, and that was pretty much it because nobody else from Orlando showed up. As far as Cleveland, Donovan Mitchell, 35 points. I mean, what else can this guy do? 7 rebounds, 6 assists. He had a steal. He shot 5 of 10 for the field, 50%, 6 for 9 from 3-point, 6 for 9 from the free throw line, 12 of 24 for the field, 50% from 3-point range. DG had 26 with 9 assists and a couple of boards. Evan Mobley, 16 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, and a block. Jared Allen, 8 points, 11 big rebounds. George Niang had his best game coming off the bench, 10 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists. And Dean Wade, he had 8 points, but he had 1 offensive rebound at the end of the first quarter when Dean Wade fired up a 3, right? He fired up a 3, and Dean Wade just fouled his shot. He just fouled his shot, got his own rebound, and put it back. Foul your shot, people, because you never know, you might put it back. And that is exactly what Dean Wade did. All credit to the Cleveland Cavaliers, their best offensive game of the year for the Cleveland Cavaliers. And as far as Orlando, you guys might be young, you guys might be talented, you guys with Paolo Banchero might be going places. You are the 3rd best defense in the league. I get that. But right now, based on what I saw, you are not ready to take that next step. You could prove me wrong and change my opinion, but right now the Cleveland Cavaliers showed y'all you are not on the level of the Cleveland Cavaliers. You are not on the level on the Boston Celtics, despite the fact that you beat them. You are not on the level of the Denver Nuggets, despite the fact that you might beat them. You are not on the level of the Miami Heat. There are teams that are just better than the Orlando Magic right now, and the Cleveland Cavaliers are one of them. Coming up next, the Chicago Bulls, 3 straight wins for the first time since March of last year? What? Although they beat the Charlotte Hornets, a win is a win, and I'm going to take it, and I'm going to talk about it when we come back on Let 'Em Know Kings United. We're back on Let 'Em Know Kings United, and for the first time since last year, the Chicago Bulls have won not 1, not 2, but 3 straight games as they defeat the Charlotte Hornets 111-100. The Chicago Bulls stood on business last night as they defeated the Charlotte Hornets for their 3rd straight win. But I'm going to have to calm down because the Charlotte Hornets were a little bit short-handed going into this game. They were without LaMelo Ball with a right ankle sprain. He missed his 4th straight game, and the team scratched starting center Mark Williams from lineup just hours before tip-off. Charlotte used just 3 players coming off the bench, but at the end of the day, the Chicago Bulls don't care who's playing, who's not playing, which of the Hornets is in the starting lineup or not in the starting lineup. At the end of the day, the Chicago Bulls did what they were supposed to do, and that was win. And now the Chicago Bulls have won 3 straight games. They are now 8-14. Although they are 7.5 games back in the division, I am really comfortable with where they are right now. Because right now, I am seeing the best version of the Chicago Bulls that I have looked all year. All year. I've seen more heart. I've seen more passion. I've seen players that respect the game. I've seen players that want to win. And let me tell you something, DeMar DeRozan, he had to lead the way for the Chicago Bulls, but DeMar scored 29 points, and that helped contributed with the win. Nikola Vucevic, although he had a double-double, 20 and 11, he didn't take as many shots. And I'm gonna talk about the shots that Nikola Vucevic made in just a second. And Kobe White, this dude right now is the best gosh darn player in the Chicago Bulls right now. Although D-Row is the leader of the team, I will say that Kobe White is the best player of the team. That in the first half, I'm not even gonna lie to you, although we led 27-24 at the end of the first quarter, I think the first half, it was all Charlotte. It was all Hornets. I need to be honest with you. In the tail end of the second quarter, I thought the Chicago Bulls were going back to the old Chicago Bulls. Not the new Bulls that I'm seeing right now, but the old Bulls than what I have seen from the last couple of weeks. And by the way, I gotta talk about this. Zach LaVine, he missed his 3rd straight game because of an injured right foot. And the team last night said in a statement after the game that he'll need an additional 3 to 4 weeks rest. And then DeMar DeRozan said, Zach's got to take care of himself. We just got to stay locked in and be prepared for when guys get all the way healthy. We've got to keep building. DeMar DeRozan, I have no issue on what you said because you're a team veteran. You are one of the leaders of this team. I totally get and I totally respect where you're coming from. But bruh, the reason why you're winning right now is because you don't got Zach LaVine on your team. And I gotta be honest with you, I do not want Zach LaVine to come back in a Chicago Bulls uniform. By the time this 3 to 4 week rest is over with, Zach LaVine might as well get traded and get the living up out of the United Center and get the living hell out of Chicago. Because Zach LaVine, I need you to listen to this. Because I'm only talking to Zach LaVine right now. I am not denying the fact that you got, like, talent off the wazoo, okay? You won a slam dunk championship a few years ago when you went and played for the Minnesota Timberwolves, okay? But what I'm telling you right now, you are the most selfish, you are the most self-centered, you are the most arrogant, and you are the most prideful basketball player that I have ever seen in a Chicago Bulls uniform. All you care about is this big-ass money contract, which I had no idea that you signed once I started becoming a Chicago Bull fan. Okay? And all you care about is yourself. Look at what Kobe White is doing right now. Look at D-Row. Look at Vooch. Look at Torrey Craig. Look at Patrick Williams, who's balling out. Alex Caruso. They are starting to play for each other. They are playing for the city of Chicago. They are playing for the team name in front of the jersey as well as the back of the jersey. This version of the Chicago Bulls without Zach LaVine is the best version of the Chicago Bulls that I have seen all year. And I'm going to tell you right now, if Zach LaVine comes back at the end of the 3 to 4 weeks, the Chicago Bulls are going to go back to a losing, heartless, careless reality. That's just my bold prediction. That's my bold prediction of this, because without Zach LaVine right now, the Bulls are clicking on all cylinders. And if Zach LaVine comes back, we are going to be in a whole load of trouble. About Kobe White, he said in the third quarter, we came out ready to play. We're playing a lot faster and making quicker decisions because at the end of the first half, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not even going to lie to you. Charlotte took complete control at the end of the first half. I did not see any ball movement from Chicago. I saw a lot of players standing like statues while Charlotte dictated the pace. And the Bulls took control in the first 6 minutes of the second half by holding the Hornets to just a pair of field goals. White capped a 19-4 run with a three-pointer that gave the Bulls a 67-48 lead midway through the third. Charlotte never got closer than 8 points the rest of the night. Now, I will say, defensively for the Bulls, you need to do a lot better at sustaining leads because Charlotte is really good at making games close games. If you give Charlotte a little bit of that momentum, they will kill and they will hurt us. They would kill and hurt anybody if you give Charlotte Hornets that kind of momentum. Record aside, the Hornets still have a really talented basketball team. I don't care if they're 6-13. They look better than what the record is saying. But at the end of the day, Chicago, my only negative is you don't know how to sustain big leads. You don't know how to sustain it. If you can clean up the lapses defensively, we would be talking the most complete performance that I've seen from Chicago since the Utah game. But I can't say that because it was an ugly game to win because of the defensive lapses by the Chicago Bulls, especially late. But a win is a win. I will take the W. The Chicago Bulls, however, need to work on defense. We have to work on a lot of things on defense and sustaining leads when we have them. Steve Clifford said we've struggled to shoot the ball in the first 3 quarters, and the team was 2 for 18 from behind the arc in the first half, and went 2 for 12 for the field during the Bulls' decisive third corner run that ultimately decided the game for the Bulls that, like I said, look a lot better without Zach LaVine, and they are going to be in for a good battle against the San Antonio Spurs tonight. And with Victor Wembanyama. I think at this point, Victor Wembanyama is going to get his. He is 7'4" and he has a ton of talent. At this point, who the hell is going to guard Victor Wembanyama? I think Chet Holmgren is the only guy that knows how to contain Victor Wembanyama. But besides that, who gonna stop him? Huh? Who gonna stop Victor? Hopefully the Bulls can stop him, but I don't know. I don't know. Will be interesting, though. Both teams' field goal percentage pretty darn even. The three-point percentage, the big story, 48% for the field for the Bulls from distance compared to 27% for the Charlotte Hornets. The Bulls did a much better job of getting into the foul line, 23 of 29. For the free throw line for the Bulls compared to just 12 for the Charlotte Hornets, but they made all 12 attempts, but that counts for something. 57 rebounds, a season high for the Chicago Bulls in rebounding. They did a better job of getting second chances in this game. They crashed 21 of those rebounds, 21 of those 57 offensive rebounds. Outstanding. Brilliant. Just brilliant by the Bulls. That creates second chance opportunities, and that creates another opportunity to extend big runs. You'll love to see that. You'll love to see that. The paint, 52-44 in favor of the Charlotte Hornets, but I think in the second half, the Bulls did better of getting baskets inside the paint area. 25-23, the assist numbers in favor of the Charlotte Hornets. 9-6 were the blocks in favor of the Charlotte Hornets. The turnovers, I guess you can say pretty even. The fast break points, 15 to 13. But when you allow 57 rebounds to a Chicago Bulls team that is on the rise right now, and 21 of those offensive rebounds, you're not going to win games like that. Gordon Hayward was the leading scorer for the Charlotte Hornets. He finished with 27 points, with 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, a block. He was 2 for 4 from three-point land. Terry Rozier, 25 points. He was 1 for 11 from 3. But he had like 7 assists and 5 rebounds, but a plus-minus of minus 11. That's not going to help. Gordon Hayward was the only one for the Charlotte Hornets on the plus side of the plus-minus. Miles Bridges, 16 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists for him. Brandon Miller, 12 points, 3 for 6 from three-point range with 6 rebounds and 4 assists. He's got a sweet stroke from three-point land. As far as the Chicago Bulls, DeMar DeRozan, 29 points, but he only took 8 shots. That's not good enough. But he also had like 6 rebounds and 3 assists, so I guess that was fine. He had a plus-minus, a plus 17 on the night. Nikola Vucevic, 20 points, 12 rebounds, double-double with 3 assists, but only 8 shots out of 17 attempts. Like, come on now. What are you doing? What are you doing? Kobe White, again, he's him. He's him right now. 19 points, 9 rebounds, almost a double-double for this man with 5 assists, 6-16 for the field, 3% from 3, 4 for 5 from the free throw line. Alex Caruso, 12 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. Ayo Dosunmu did not do anything off the bench. He had a plus-minus, a plus 5. He had 3 assists, but I am surprised Ayo Dosunmu did not score. I mean, he was one of those players that is carrying the momentum of the Chicago Bulls right now. If I was Billy Donovan, I would have put Alex Caruso coming off the bench and put Ayo Dosunmu in the starting lineup. But hey, when you win 3 straight, I'm not going to argue now, but just a suggestion, Billy Donovan, who, by the way, you are coaching a lot better in these last 3 games than what you've done all season to this point. Keep it up, Billy Donovan. Keep it up. I'm really proud of the Bulls. Let's see if the Bulls can make it 4 straight against the San Antonio Spurs. That's going to do it for today's edition of Let 'Em Know Kings United. You can find this show on Amazon Music, Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, Radio Public, Pandora, Spotify, and wherever else you want to listen to the show. Give the show a follow on those platforms. Turn on your notifications so you know about the next episode. Please rate, spread the word out to your friends. Give Let 'Em Know Kings United a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you are listening to this on. I am your host, Skylar Weisberg. Thank you for tuning in. Happy Hanukkah for those that are celebrating, because as of this recording, it would be the second night of Hanukkah because this episode drops on Friday. And I will see you right back here for another episode of Let 'Em Know Kings United.